All right, well, it's 7 o'clock and we have a quorum, so let's call this meeting to order. Has everyone had an opportunity to read the minutes from the previous meeting?
Yes.
Is there a motion to approve?
I have a I don't know exactly on the minutes of the 10th. It says that the money needs to be spent by the end of 2020. I think that's how it was reported.
Yeah, I think
so. It's technically correct in the minutes because that is how it was reported. But I think in tonight's minutes, we should note that the correct date is 2026 or something, so that I don't think we can correct the minutes because they're technically correct.
right.
But they're in the minutes of the 17th under the first paragraph under business. I did notice that as well. They made more of an explanation of that, and it says it on the set because we're actually approving 2 meeting minutes, correct?
We
Right.
are.
So, yeah, so let's go with the 10th first. Is there a motion to approve? And Julie will make the note that you suggested, Nanette. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. So moved.
Thank you, Nanette.
Yep.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any abstained? Any opposed? Motion carries. How about the minutes of the 17th? Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? No discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any abstentions? Any nay votes? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, so let's jump right into spending federal money. I'm very curious where we stand because I've been reading about what some other towns are doing, or planning to do, and it sounds different than what I understood we were allowed to do.
Yeah. It's it just keeps changing. However, you know that what is it, the IFR final report has still not come out from the Treasury to define everything better. However, Kim's had some long discussions with Mike Musinski from CCM, who has got a pretty good handle on it. And you know what's available, it can be used, what the money can be used for, whatnot. And the biggest one that
Barbara, from where?
CCM, Connecticut Conference of Municipalities.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing I think that we've changed since the last, I'm just thinking about the last meetings, is culverts.
Mm-hmm.
And you know the question about those. So I mean, Kim and I have had some discussions. I did, you know, mention this to Jim Conway also. And I think that we have 2 culverts here in town that need some serious work. And one of them is on Squire Road and one is on the end of Painter Hill near 317. We could go for money from the state. It would take a long time and it would also cost probably twice as much. But I think that we need to direct some money towards those. We also have, you know, Botsford Hill. I think that we can probably get some money there. We have HVA working on that with us. And the culvert itself on Botsford is not as bad as we thought. The sides, the parapets and everything are a mess. But water does go over the road. The problem is that like I keep having these meetings and I am going to have a meeting on next Tuesday with Squire Road and Painter Hill Road. Those 2 have to be replaced. So I think we need to throw some money at that. And Kim and I talked about it. Those are capital projects. They're a lot easier to do. The other thing is the broadband infrastructure. We've got some numbers on that. And, you know, so anyway, Kim, why don't you, I'll let her go over this list that I've given some numbers on some of the things that I have gotten numbers for, but she's categorized them into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, four different categories. And in there, we're going to throw in what makes those categories up. So Kim.
Kim, is there any way you could send that to us so we could be looking at it?
You know, I was having technical difficulties today with
Okay.
spreadsheet, and I apologize that you don't have it in front of you.
Okay.
So I gave Barbara my copy, and I'm looking. Okay, let me just go through the numbers, and I will try to send you something after this meeting. So, so I've broken it down into four categories: supporting the public health response, which would mean supporting our local public health district by giving them some funding to mitigate the containment and the mitigation efforts of COVID-19. Expenses for acquisition and distribution of medical and protective supplies, personal protective equipment. That is where I would place the request from the Ambulance Association for the AEDs and
that's about
such.
We're going to throw 45,000 into that for
right.
Stryker and
right. So between
AEDs.
So the public health district, I gave a number of about 10 grand to 45 for the medical equipment. And then the rest of it, which is about $20,000 to support local businesses, townwide, countywide nonprofits with any types of grants that we can to help with this public health emergency. And therefore we have some local nonprofits in town, the Land Trust, the Friends of the Senior Center, the Friends of the Library. You know, you can put the Ambulance Association into that category as well. They are a nonprofit in and of themselves. The Litchfield Shore Service, Barbara had gotten some requests through the COG for Greenwoods and Litchfield Shore. And Greenwoods is a mental health referral service. They do
and
really
addiction services also,
correct.
Which has helped our town.
Right, a lot. They do good work. And Litchfield Shore, which you can explain that better than I can about Litchfield Shore.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Barbara.
Unfortunately, I just got an email that the director dropped dead on September 11th. So there's going to be a meeting to scurry to try and find out what we're going to do with that. But it helps our seniors who need help. And Chore finds those people, and they also hire the people. So the people that need work, it benefits both. It's worked really well. We have quite a number of people actually that take that service.
Right.
And then the Land Trust asked about giving $5,000 towards the volunteer bridge. It's about $77,000 to repair the new bridge. I mean, to put in the new bridge, and they've raised about half of it, but they thought that $5,000 from the town would be a nice thing. I mean, I know we can certainly sell it on COVID and what the preserves did during all of that. But so now more requests are coming in, and but I did put it in there. So we'll see.
So really it's the local nonprofits which support our town's initiatives and the local community. And you can kind of tie all of this back to COVID-19. The senior center has asked for a camera, laptop, and screen to help with broadcasting of the Senior Learning Network. Again, Barbara, I don't know a whole lot about the Senior Learning Network.
Yep.
But it is something that can be done remotely and virtually.
Right.
And this would be available to all seniors. And the Learning Network provides, I think, numerous types of programs.
Way more programs, et cetera, and
Yeah.
access than, I mean, I've done some research on it and found that, other towns use it. It's something that we really do need to just get into. It's just well
Right.
worth it.
So they're looking for a laptop and a screen and all of that can be projected, for these types of things to be projected on a screen and then out to the participants. And then obviously the town will have items related to the health response relating to COVID-19. So, and that would be PPE, sanitizing equipment, supplies of all kinds that you can tie back to COVID. So I have that money earmarked for $75,000 total. As Barbara already mentioned, investing in stormwater infrastructure. So, and that kind of goes hand in hand with the broadband infrastructure. It's kind of all in the same category. But when I first read the documentation about stormwater and wastewater, water treatment, I was thinking more in terms of that it had to do with sewage treatment, clean water, but it does also include stormwater management projects, culvert replacements. But all of these projects must have a water quality benefit, which they do. If we were to replace a culvert and prevent runoff from going into the ground, and Barbara again can explain this a little bit better than I can, but there definitely is a water quality benefit there. And that I have earmarked at $100,000. Investing in the broadband infrastructure. It really is the areas of town that are currently unserved or underserved. And right now, the buildings, the town buildings, namely the senior center and the Hodge Library, do not have this broadband access. So we are looking to, with this money, I put at $96,000 to, I think Barbara said we did have some type of very simple quote for that. Is that correct, Barbara?
Yeah, we're looking at to bring the broadband from the school, from Boothry School to the senior center, because we have to rent some of the wiring, et cetera, after this thing is put in. And then you have an annual fee. We're looking at like 80,000 max for that. However, I was talking with Jimmy today, and the I don't know what the server for this is also sitting. There's one in the fire department. They did the school and the fire department because those were the two that were allowed to have this CEN network. And then we connected the town hall ourselves. I don't know, a couple of years ago to the fire department. And now we want to connect the senior center from the school. The thing is that we're going to have to, we did a lot of the work when we did it from the firehouse because it was right here, but it's just a little bit more tricky, and we're going to have to do some more with the CEN network itself. But Jimmy was saying, the server in the firehouse, I mean, these guys have shut it off in the past, and you can't do that. It would probably be better served if that server was here, because Jimmy now found that it could be in a firehouse or a police department. And I think we could sell the police department, and then it would be here with all of our IT stuff in the basement. So he said, why don't we try and add that on? And that's why this number jumped up. And we may not do it, but because it's been in the firehouse for all these years, but it probably, I would have to agree with them. Bringing it over to the town hall would not be a bad idea. So that's where those numbers came from. Anyway. But at least we have some numbers.
Right.
So we added another 16,000 in. Not
Okay.
sure, but work
So
on it.
the final and the biggest portion of this money is the option to consider assisting in the firehouse renovation with the ambulance association. And this was kind of a hard sell. However, in the last month or so, I've learned a lot about where this would be best placed, where we could best go forward with this type of assistance. And that is, oddly enough, replacing lost revenue. So you're gonna think I'm crazy because I told you all that that it was inappropriate because we haven't lost any revenue. And so, but the big but here is I had many conversations with people. I had a Board of Finance member from the town of Bridgewater call me about this because this is what they are looking to do with it. And, you know, so I had to go back and revisit the due diligence I did on this. And so in doing so, we benefit, in a nutshell, we benefit from how the law in the IFR has been written as far as lost revenue, because the Treasury took the approach, a very broad approach, and the majority of states in this country run on county governments, but we do not here in Connecticut. So we received that extra money that came to Litchfield County, if you will. So, so in short, there is a formula. If you read the IFR and you read the law, there's a very specific formula how to calculate lost revenue. And the GFOA, the Government Finance Officers Association, the national organization, came up with a ARPA calculator to do all of this. And it's complicated, but they made it easier to do this. So I plugged all the numbers in, and lo and behold, we come up with a loss of revenue of $455,000. So the formula makes a lot of assumptions. You have to go back to the last full fiscal year, which would have been 2019. Use that as a baseline. Then you have to put in figures about growth rates over the last 4 fiscal years, from 2016 to 2019. And then Treasury wants you to come up with an actual amount of revenue on the calendar year, starting in January 2020, when the pandemic started, through December 31st. And then they also come up with a counterfactual revenue. There's a lot of, it's a lot of formulas, but the net result of it all is that we show a counterfactual revenue of $12 million, say, for this first period ending December 2020, given all of the variables, given all the assumptions that are made in the formula, and then we put in what we actually took in as revenue, which is still more than we project, which is still more than we ever thought we would take in. but still, we benefit from this formula because it's being based upon the majority of municipalities and governments in this country. And we don't really fall into that. We don't fall into that mold. We don't have enterprise. We don't have revenue that we've lost. We've actually had the opposite effect. We've benefited from it. We have conveyance fees and property transfers and building fees. People are coming, we've benefited from it. Where a lot of county governments, larger governments have not. We don't have a football stadium or a sports stadium here that was shut down. Golf courses, we don't have those types of enterprises that bring in a lot of revenue. And we're just talking about pure revenue from this standpoint here. So throwing all these numbers in, and I'll send you all the ARPA calculator, and it will show you, all the figures I used. I used all the numbers from the financials, and all of that. And so, so it shows us on paper having a loss of revenue of $455,000 for this first reporting period ending December 31st, 2020. So because of that, showing that loss, when you show a loss like that, you can use this money for the provision of government services. And you can, and that's a very broad category, government services. And in my opinion, the firehouse renovation, to put a portion of this money towards that through this option is probably the way to go. I ran this by Mike Musinski. We had a very, very long talk about it because as you know, I was not very comfortable because we haven't lost revenue. And is the Treasury going to come back and change the rules on us? Do we need to get a legal opinion on this? And he kind of was like, no. You know what? This is the law. It's in the law, and it's in the interim final rule. So, so that is, if we are going to use $365,000, that's the remainder of the money. This is where I would use this as an option to help with the firehouse renovation if we go forward with that.
Well, and you put in 365,000. We're going to have to pull from that, I think, to fund some of these other things.
We can. These are just numbers. These are just estimates. We still do not have any concrete numbers about the firehouse. We have something on broadband infrastructure. And Barbara's going to be meeting next Tuesday on some of the stormwater stuff. So that's it. It's so in talking to the people I talked to last week, specifically Mike from CCM, I said, how are we supposed to report this? We just have this basic plan right now with some numbers tied to it. We don't have a lot of the facts and figures yet on it. And he said, well, you know what? The Treasury is going to be doing another webinar on the reporting of all this. And he said, I think you're going to be able to get away with being able to just present it as such. And I'll send you the spreadsheet that I have. It'll have to be in obviously a different format in the government portal, but that we will be able to not have to do a whole lot for the October 31st reporting. And then if things change, we will have some time in the first quarter to change it. So,
so that you don't have anything in front of you, just to make it easier and to break it down for you if you wanted to write $75,000 in supporting the public health response, which is the health district, the ambulance, with durable medical supplies, et cetera, and the support of the local businesses or countywide nonprofits like Greenwoods, et cetera. I know Russ Dorenzo even asked about, $5,000 to support the Chippewa River Initiative. That's rearing its head again. Then it was 96,000 for investing in broadband infrastructure. And that was what we talked about, from the school to the senior center, and then also for the senior learning network. And then $100,000 investing in stormwater infrastructure. Quite honestly, we're gonna have to beef that up, especially if we don't get information from about the firehouse, because that is where the bulk of it is, 365,000.
Mhm.
So that would be the place that we're gonna have to pull. And I am going to get, numbers to replace these 2 culverts. We can go
Barbara,
through
where's
the
the
state.
Excuse me for interrupting, just throw it out there. Where are the cameras for the police?
That wasn't going to be covered by this, but I did get in touch with the state. They do have a grant for that, and
Okay,
those have
yeah.
to be in place by July 22. So
All right, all
that
right.
I'm working on. Today was
Yeah.
fun day, fun day, but we found out that would not be covered.
Okay, yep.
So
Barbara, what was
Trying to
the
go.
number for the not-for-profits, the total number for the not-for-profits, please?
let's see, that was in the, she had that in with the 75,000. And so we were looking at the, 5,000 for the Chippewa, didn't put a number on for Greenwoods. We were looking at Friends of the Library, Friends of the Senior Center, and, wait a minute.
About $20,000 total for the nonprofits.
20, so
And sure.
but supporting public,
Between the towns, senior center, and the nonprofits. Yeah.
I mean, so the newest request here is, the Land Trust and the Chippewa River, and they're both $5,000 each. What do you want to chime in on those, or?
Actually, I would like to see both of those be redirected towards culverts or the ambulance addition. I think the land trust and the river can survive on donations.
Well,
I think Greenwoods is an easy sell because of mental health issues related to COVID, and they are a good organization.
and addiction services, they do provide that. They're very good.
And addiction services. I agree with Jim about the other two. I think we're talking about nonprofits and not businesses. And my preference is to take businesses out of the description, because I don't want to raise any
Right.
unreasonable expectations here.
I agree with that.
Sure.
Yeah. It's funny how this thing has just morphed, because it was like, oh my God, what are we gonna spend all this money on? And there's not really a whole lot here when you really get down to it. So I agree with that. I think we should take that out, businesses.
Yeah, I agree with Jim also on that. I would like, Kim, did you say you were going to email everybody a copy of
Yes.
everything that you've been reading to us, the breakdown?
Yes.
We can wrap our brains around it.
Yes.
So
Yes. And
I would
I sincerely apologize.
No, that's
Sorry,
okay.
you
I
don't
just
have it
would
in
like-
front of you right now.
I would just like some time to look at it and
Yeah.
process it before I really comment more on anything else. That's all.
I agree.
Kim, I also had a question. During your description of broadband, you had said senior center, and I'm not sure if you had inadvertently said the Hodge. Is that part of it?
Well, we talked about the Hodge because the
Is that
Hodge
in-
does not have it.
Is that
But
included?
I
in-
don't, but Barbara can answer that if it's part, is,
Not at the moment.
okay.
Not at the moment, unless you want us to look at that.
No,
I thought
would-
that was, I really did think that was what Jimmy was asking about, because the Hodge is the closest to the, I thought it was gonna be the senior center and the Hodge, quite frankly.
No, now that we've got a number, yeah, I mean, he's brought that up. I didn't go anywhere with it personally.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Throw it up on the table, but
No, it's a non-used building in my.
right.
at all.
What,
Okay.
what
good.
is
Thank
our
you. Thank
annual,
you.
No.
I'm sorry about my video, it's delayed. But it must be because of this thing. What is the cost, the ongoing cost of providing this service to the library and the senior center? You mentioned that. How much is that going to cost us in our budget every year?
Oh, here, wait 1 second.
You know, I had that,
Wait a minute.
the library already has, the high-speed internet. The Minor Memorial Library already has it.
Okay, there
And
is.
the senior center, we pay about $800 a year for it here at the town, for which comprises the town garage, the firehouse, and the town hall. I think what the library pays is a little bit. I did talk to Teresa about that. She did give me some numbers, but they pay a little bit more than we do.
And
for
what did you
whatever
say?
reason.
What are you saying they're paying?
We pay, the town pays about $800 a year for high-speed internet from the CEN. That's what they bill us.
And mine
But
memorial,
they bill the library something a little bit, it's a little bit more. They get billed more money. I think it's a couple $1,000s a year for them. Now, what is it going to cost the senior center?
I mean, and we
I
just got
don't know
this
the
this
answer to that.
afternoon. We just got this afternoon. Jimmy and I were talking about it because
Right.
it's trying to figure out how many Mbps's we have to do, but it says fiber maintenance. It accompanies the fire product annually for 20 years, $44.50. I have not had a chance to talk to this CEN person myself today. It just came in this afternoon. In an email to Jimmy and
It
I.
has to be at least 25 bips and megabits, whatever you call it.
Right, that's the
that's
lowest.
the minimum, that's the minimum.
That's the minimum, right?
Right. And if that was, then it would be $123. It says total price per month, $123 for 25 megabits.
And they get that from the CEE?
The
CEN.
CEN, yeah,
CEN,
Connecticut
yep.
Education Network.
Okay, so it's already tied into that, the high-speed internet at the minor.
Yes,
Memorial Library.
yes,
Okay.
yep. Yes, they get billed by CEN. I'm trying to bring up
But it's like 35,000 to, it's a one-time payment to connect the two.
And we're talking about what two again? The senior center and what?
The school,
School.
both free
Okay.
school.
just the senior center we're talking about.
Okay.
The school is already hooked up, right?
Right, right.
Right. So it's only the senior center we're talking about. The school and library are hooked up. We're talking about the senior center alone, standing alone.
The school, the library, and the firehouse are hooked up, and then the town hall jumped on the firehouse. So that really what is not connected is the senior center. as is Public Works, because we went from the firehouse to the town hall, and then we dug our own trenches in both cases and got this wire. All they did was string the wire through our conduits. But I don't know that that's going to be the case over here. It's just
So
Barbara,
it's $80,000 just to hook up to the senior center.
No, 35,
34,000
34,000.
Okay,
just to hook up.
okay,
Then there's more, fees, which, and rental, fiber maintenance, et cetera. And what was I going to say? And then we added the senior learning network also to that.
but all of that comes to $80,000. Is that right?
Yeah, we put 96 in here because
Right,
we were
16
thinking that
is-
possibly
16 is-
moving the
Right, but
server from the
right,
firehouse here. Yep.
right, but
Yes.
so the 80,000 is essentially, it's 80,000 to take it to the library. I mean, to the senior center.
Yeah.
Right?
So I've just
Gotcha.
been texting with Daryl Nitke, who owns Cagenio Smart Home down by in Roxbury Station there.
Yep.
I work with him quite a bit on some projects, and he has a system where he beams up to 1 gig per second with a sender and a receiver, which would cost substantially less than $80,000. It's something we ought to look into.
Absolutely.
As long as he's got line of sight, he can go up to 500 feet with this beam. So I asked him to throw together an estimate what that would cost. So definitely worth it.
From the coming off of the CEN network at the school.
I just asked if he could do broadband, and he said that he can beam up to 1 gigabyte per second, which is more than 25 megabits per second. So
Absolutely. I mean, if we don't have to use CEN, I think that I'm thrilled, because that's what we did here between the town hall and the Public Works and a firehouse.
let me find out more about that, but it might be some way we can do this for a little less money.
Yep. Good. That'd be great.
Yeah.
I didn't even know it existed. So.
No, he's got it installed on the project I'm working on, and he's got another one installed on Lake Warrenbug, so the guy can get broadband out on his boat.
Good for him. What's his name? I'd like to, if I can't get a ride. No.
Yeah, right.
Anyway.
So,
All right,
okay.
that's great. Absolutely. I'll have Jimmy call him.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah,
Those two speak the same language.
yeah.
I think the big nut here is getting a huge part of this to the fire department and the ambulance for that addition. The rest of this, they're sizable numbers, but the most important thing to the town of Roxbury is that addition to the firehouse. And if we can come up with as much as possible legally directed towards that project, I think that's what we all should be thinking about.
Yeah, I agree.
We have to get that information. I don't know.
Well,
Get
another
it.
way of looking at it is that, money is fungible. And if we have to spend a certain amount of money on culvert repair and a certain amount of money on firehouse repair and so on and so forth in the net over the next however many years, it almost doesn't matter which of those things we spend this federal money on. We're still going to be, the net to the town is, we're going to spend $600,000 less.
Well,
So-
the other thing is the capital campaign for that firehouse. They were supposed to get that letter out. I don't know that it has. I don't know if they're anticipating a number of what they might get from that.
She gave us a number last time, and I don't have it here. Sarah gave us a number.
I mean, I know you wanted to try to solidify some of this, but it's not going to happen tonight. Again, there's just unknowns and it just is a moving target.
So when is our hard deadline? We don't even know that.
Kim has to have the first report by the end of October.
So we still have a little time.
Yeah, and I when I spoke to the guy at CCM, I said, you know, we just don't have numbers to tie to these really solid numbers yet to tie to these projects. And we're still going back and forth about how much we're going to give to one project or the other. And he said, I think you'll be fine. I think it's going to be more of a, this is where we're at right now. This is what our estimates are, and that we will be able to go back, I believe, within that first quarter after October, ending December 31st of 2021. We'll be able to go in and modify. He made it sound like it wasn't a big deal. So I said, I'm putting all my faith in you.
Has anybody talked to
That is the case.
Has anybody had the chance to talk to Rico about this?
I've spoken to him. I have spoken to him about the funding and setting up a special revenue fund for this money, because it's restricted in its use to some extent. And he seemed to be okay with that. You know, it's kind of still sitting in our our grant account at the state, in our bank account, our grant account, the money coming from the state, if you will. But I did set up an account at the state. I think I spoke about this at the last meeting. And I did send something to Barbara about it, and I was hoping she would forward it to y'all, but maybe that didn't, I don't think it happened, but.
It'd certainly be helpful if the ambulance and the fire department would put in some sort of request and give us a list of things. Like on my notes here, we mentioned this stretcher for the ambulance people that you guys are borrowing one or renting one.
Striker.
Striker, yeah. It would be great if they would help us out here and step up and give us a wish list of what they could use. Then we could take that and go forward instead of us trying to figure out what they need to use.
Well, I do have that. I do have for the striker and the AEDs that we said.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, that's a tick. Yep. That's like 44. So I rounded it to 45,000.
So that's a solid thing. We've been requested. Number. It's in. And how about the fire department? What do they need? They want this addition. Somebody's got to put in requests for it.
Right. You know, I think the issue. Yeah, I think the issue here is they just don't have solid numbers yet.
I think they have to get them.
Well, we did say that. We have said that to them. I feel like we've said it to them.
Yeah, I agree.
And Sarah was at our last meeting, and she heard it from all of us. And
yep.
Well, I would think, I mean, like the land trust, they're saying this is how much the bridge costs. And we would like, 5,000 towards that. We've raised half of whatever. And I would think that if they're going to do a capital campaign letter, they should say, this is what we need to raise. They got to have something.
Something's got to get going here.
Well, you know what? I'll talk to Sarah again tomorrow. I know they've met recently on it.
We got money for them. We've got to give it to them in the right channels.
Yeah.
Right.
I think you should tell them we're going to allocate it all to the culverts otherwise.
Exactly.
It wouldn't be a terrible thing. It really wouldn't.
It wouldn't be a terrible thing, right?
No, it would not. They need to get done.
Yeah.
It makes for cleaner water.
Yeah, it does make for cleaner water.
Yeah, if we have to spend the money anyway.
Well, I don't know if you're,
I
if
mean,
you're
I feel
ready.
like we're trying to give money away and they don't,
They don't want it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I agree.
Go ahead.
They do want it.
They definitely
Um,
want it.
Yeah, they definitely want it. The,
Have you resolved the issue of the execution of the contracts and whatever that labor thing was for fair wages or
Yeah,
something?
fair wage,
that-
yeah.
they have to abide by that. And Kim told them that.
Yeah, I sent Sarah the law. I sent her the statutes. And the woman from the labor, Department of Labor said, this is an existing building, so it's a renovation. Any project with a
And
value
it's a town
of
building, town building.
100,000, it's a public building, right? So any project to a public, of public infrastructure of $100,000 or more, you must use Davis-Bacon prevailing wage.
So would
They know that.
that be true, Kim, even if they don't get this money?
Correct.
So their issue about it would be cheaper to not take the money, that's what I thought I heard her saying was.
Yeah, you know what? I think there was some miscommunication about when Davis-Bacon kicks in, that it's all grant related, but it's not. It's about the project.
So no matter who does it and who funds it, they have to do it. They have to do prevailing wage.
Yeah, yes. I know they're not happy about that because Davis-Bacon a lot of times squeezes out the local guy because they just can't do it.
It was a sore spot the last time when did get a grant and we re-sided the firehouse and I guess we put a new roof on and all that. And they were very upset with me because it pushed out some of the local people and they thought that and it's just can't
Well,
do it.
That goes back many, many years. It goes back to the senior center.
Yep.
That we pushed out local people. We had to.
Yep.
You know, that's a false argument. I mean, a local contractor can up his wages for a particular project to meet Davis-Bacon. People do it all the time. It's just that they don't want to go through the effort of recalculating what that means to their business.
Yeah, it is the paperwork. You have to provide all of your certified
Yeah.
payrolls. It's
Right.
a lot of work and
It is a lot of work and I feel bad, whenever we can do a small project like we're replacing the roof down at the Public Works garage. We have a painting coming on for the senior center. I've handed it out to the local people, but we're not taking state money for any of those. They're smaller projects.
Yeah.
So then we absolutely try to hire the local guy, but it's hard. You just can't do it. I mean, they can do it, like you said, but it's a lot of work, a lot of extra work.
So where do we actually stand tonight? What more are we going to accomplish? We have another meeting in a week.
Right. And hopefully we can nail some things down, nail them down better than we are right now. But I think that, for some direction, we're not going to do the businesses. Are we going to fund some money to Chore and Greenwoods and the Land Trust in the Chicago River? Those things you already commented on too. They did not want to do. Is that am I pulling those? Am I letting people know that no, they're not in it?
I mean, what's the sense of the board on that? Or we can't really have a vote.
I mean, and with the Land Trust, they are saying, this justifying it because it supported public mental and physical health during COVID, which all preserves. Absolutely.
Well, I'm actually on that bridge committee. I don't know if that means I have to recuse myself from this vote or not. Probably not, because it's a small amount. But it sounds like a lot of money, but it's amazing the amount of work that has to go into making this happen.
Right. When I'm just looking at the numbers, and they're saying, like 77,000.
Yeah.
Raised half. They'd like 5 from the town. They're going to keep raising it until they reach their goal, obviously.
Well, I won't express an opinion on that, but you know, everybody else should feel free to.
Well, you can express an opinion.
Well, I do, but I feel I shouldn't.
I'm on the same wavelength as you, Andy. I'd rather just kind of recuse myself. I'm a little too engulfed in that bridge project, so I'm going to have other voices prevail on this.
Well, I walk over the bridge. And
Not recently.
Not recently.
Not recently. That's right.
But the last rains we got are gonna cost more than the $77,000 because it washed away a lot of their survey work. And they're gonna have to get it resurveyed. And I would support $5,000 out of $665,000, whatever we're doing, for the land trust, particularly for that bridge.
Okay. How about for the Chippewa River?
I have to recuse myself on that one.
I'm happy to
What's
spend
the
money on
need
the
there?
Chippewa.
Can we, with the land trust, we can see the need for the bridge. What was the want or need for the Chippewa? What is the intent for the funds?
Well, this is what am I trying to say here? This is something that, started years ago with diverting water in Waterbury, et cetera. And that was all that's gone through the court system. Spent a lot of time in Hartford over this. And now someone is saying that Waterbury isn't holding their end of the deal and the water is not being released as it should be. And somebody should be watching it. And so it's the land trust part of this too. The land trust, the town, the Chippewa River Association, and Steep Rock. We're all involved in it. And so a couple of years ago, it was asked to can the towns each chip in 10 grand? So we have this pot that we can work with. And maybe if we need to hire some people, meaning the Chippewa River Association, to look in on all of this, we have some money to move forward. And I believe that we all did that. But now they are hiring somebody to look at somebody. And I asked Russ to get involved with it. And he said, you know what, I don't know that we need to because we got a bill just out of the blue. And I said, wait, I know nothing about hiring anybody. I don't know what their purpose is, but they're looking for money from us. We ended up paying, $1,200 because Russ suggested that we do that. But now they're coming back for more. And I said, no, I'm not paying anymore. I don't know anything about it. So,
I feel like these, I'll call them little grants, they're the least of our worries right now. And I mean, let's see when we get the big numbers all in, what we have left. And I don't know that we need to decide on the land trust or Chippewa tonight. They're not going to get their money any sooner anyway. I mean, I feel like we need to focus our attention on the culverts and the firehouse, and these will be sort of rounding errors at the end, I think.
I don't disagree with you.
No, I think that's wise.
It's just trying to get, some direction.
No, I get it. Kim, do you need us to establish the fund tonight?
Oh, you can do it next week. You should probably do it at your regular meeting anyway. So yes,
Right. Could
me
you do us a motion or something so we?
Right.
I do. I have an email that I sent to Barbara with all the verbiage in it. Let me look it up and I will send it to you. I'll send it to all of you.
Mm-hmm.
You sent me what? Verbiage for what? A motion?
Yeah.
I sent you an email about establishing this ARPA funding as a special revenue fund. Because I discussed this.
I thought we had talked about that. Maybe it was with the selectmen, just to say that it didn't go into a lot. Wait a minute.
Well, we'll have this for next week, right?
I'll send it to
I'll
you.
send it to you tonight. I just have to look up the email.
Right.
I
we don't-
did already send you ARPA revenue calculator
Mhm.
and the list that we've been reading from tonight.
Kim, do you know what day you sent me that?
Oh, it was a while ago. It was
That's why I feel like I did.
weeks. It was weeks ago.
Yep.
Okay. Well, we'll need it to look at. Over the
Yeah, you
coming
can
week.
send it to him again. I think that I did. I think that I did.
Okay.
Okay, it kinda
Well,
feels
I mean,
like
at
we're-
least we've come up with 4 categories now, at least.
Yeah.
And what are going to be in those?
That helps a lot. But it doesn't feel like we're going to accomplish a heck of a lot more tonight.
No.
So,
Barbara, can I just ask one quick question, Annie? Barbara, at the last meeting, we talked about you reaching out to an attorney or a consultant so that we would have technical expertise and support. Did anything happen with that?
No, I actually brought it up at the COG meeting, and people are pretty set in how they're going to handle their own money. And so there wasn't going to be a person, right, that we were looking for to oversee some of this. But even in speaking with Kim with Mike Musinski, and not going, we weren't going to need an attorney's opinion. And I think that Kim's got a pretty good handle on what has to be done. There is going to be a separate fund set up. And so instead of paying someone to oversee a group of us, it wasn't, we could pay someone in our own house here to oversee our own.
Well, the thing about it is, what I would like to say about a legal opinion, you can always go out as a Board of Finance and get a legal opinion on it.
Yep.
For sure. You have money in your budget to do that. Second of all, I could probably have a conversation with some of you. It could be in a meeting, but I'd have to put my thoughts on paper a little bit more than I have, because I've talked a lot to people, and I was totally in the camp of getting a legal opinion. Can we do these things? Can we do these things? And my mind was, my mind was changed a bit in talking to other towns and the people at CCM that, that this isn't as, that they're not going to really hold our feet to the fire about all of this, as long as we can show good faith, and point to the places in the law and in the IFR that that talk about these particular things that we want to do, that we won't have a problem doing them and completing them. And the other thing too is that the Treasury Department has to hire, and this was in the news a lot when when ARPA was signed by the president, that the number of Treasury agents that they are going to have to hire to administer this whole thing. They're short-staffed as it is. But the number of Treasury agents to go out and actually audit, I'm of the opinion that we're going to do everything we have to do, dot the I's and cross the T's. We're going to have our record keeping, and we're going to be able to show them why we did what we did with our money. But the chances that we're going to get audited by the federal government, Roxbury, Connecticut, unless they pull our name out of a hat,
Yeah, I got
it's
drafted
probably going to
that
be
way.
pretty slim. What?
I got drafted by someone pulling a number out of a hat.
No.
Can I bring up and ask a question?
Yes.
Did hear it correctly that we weren't going to allow the local businesses to apply for any of this money? We don't have many local businesses, but last month we met and we talked about the distillery who lost revenue and different small businesses in town. Are they going to, are they off the table to apply for some of this?
That's what I heard, but I will tell you also, today, there is a small business loan that is going to be coming out from the state. And I was going to forward that actually to our small businesses, but I just got that.
I see. So it's not us that took them off the board. It was the feds said that local businesses couldn't apply.
No. They just offered this, but what I heard, what I meant is I heard tonight we were taking them off.
Yeah.
But I'm not, that's up to all of you also.
Well, I was just going to throw out quickly, we're talking about giving the land trust $5,000 and Chippewa $5,000, but we're taking the Roxbury Market and the distillery and the garage off the table. And if we give anybody $5,000, it should be people that are actually paying taxes and support them.
Good point.
Yeah.
I would really not want to take them off. They can apply, they can ask, and we can just come up with a number to help them, just a little support. 5,000 is not a lot of money, and 5 to 10 grand would put a smile on their faces.
Well, we also have a lot of home businesses too.
Yeah.
Home enterprise, no, I don't want to go there. I want to go to our business zone, our store, garage. There's a very few, small number, but they're like not home enterprises, no.
How do we,
I think you're opening Pandora's box in,
Well, I can count on one hand the number of businesses in Roxbury. There's only 5 or 6, if that.
I think one of them sitting on this phone call.
Could be.
yep.
That is correct.
2 of them are sitting on this phone call.
Anyway, if they lost revenue due to the pandemic, that's what this is all about.
Ed, let me ask you, did you hear about this loan program?
I have not, but I will say the tenants that I have down in my building, I think they all fared very well. I don't think they'd qualify for any assistance. And myself, I mean, we've been working all through the pandemic. I'm not going to say never been busier, but we've been very busy. So as far as my property is concerned, you know, I don't think we suffered any adverse effects from this.
Okay.
I think one of the problems here, Jim, is that it has to be directly related to the COVID
I was just
situation.
thinking that the distillery, he lost a ton of business.
Yep, he did.
He lost a
Sure.
ton. Roxbury Market, people weren't coming out and having lunch and breakfast. I mean,
Yep.
It's a token. It's a small token. And when we are given land trust $5,000 for a bridge, to me, I think it should go to Roxbury Market, the Roxbury Garage, and say, here, we support you guys as well as the land trust. Give them all $5,000. Just saying.
It's certainly food for thought.
I'm just throwing it out there.
I think that for me, this all goes back to the ambulance and the firehouse, because as I said, you know, we're probably talking about, even if we include the businesses, we're probably talking about a total of $50,000 or $60,000.
Exactly.
And I would just like to know what the number is for the big ones, and then let's, you know, and see what we've got left. And I mean, I could go either way on the, you know, on the businesses. I think but again, I thought the number was 20. And so I was trying to prioritize, but because the number here is 20, are we saying it could be more?
20 for the nonprofits?
Well, the number you have is 20.
That you gave us.
That you gave us is 20. So are we saying that that pot can get bigger? Or is the 20 the number?
You can
That's up-
change it. You can change it to whatever you would like. If
Right.
you're not satisfied with that.
Okay.
So it's just an arbitrary number.
Okay.
You know, we're not really sure. You know, we do know the organizations that have requested it, but we also have organizations that we would like to give it to that haven't requested it. So so we're just not sure at this point if that is the number to stick with, if you will.
We actually have like 6 that we're looking at. And not a lot of money
Right.
for 6.
Well, let's try and put some hard numbers on the firehouse and the culverts. Although you did put some hard numbers on the culverts. And let's see what's left in the pot. I think Nanette's plan.
I think
is
you have to work
a good one.
backwards. Yep.
Mhm.
Okay, until then, what more do we have to cover tonight?
I think we have to wait till
Yeah.
next week.
Is
What
there,
What
Is
are we
there go-
doing between now and Tuesday to try to move the thing with the firehouse along?
I'm gonna call Sarah tomorrow. And I'm just gonna tell her that we're kind of hung up here. We need something before we can move forward, or we're just going to fill in all the other things and then maybe it's not gonna work.
well, I think Jim made the point early on that this should be our priority.
Mhm.
And, and I think we should communicate that to them, that's what we're trying to do here.
It's kind of frustrating because I know I've talked to them. I know Barbara's talked to them, and Jim probably has. And we're not getting, tell us how much money to give you. How hard is that?
Apparently it's hard.
Apparently.
Yeah.
So anyway, you'll be working on that this week.
Yep.
Kim, you'll be sending out the motion.
I did.
and-
I already sent it.
Right.
You got it.
And I'd be very interested to see your thoughts on why we don't need a legal opinion on this.
Yep.
In your spare
Yeah,
time.
I don't think you do either.
Yeah, you know what? I am not opposed to the legal opinion. I was a big proponent of it.
Mhm.
But with all the people that I've talked to, discussed this with at great length in the past month, I have had a little bit of a change of heart on it. And just what the reality of it is. But I will put my thoughts on paper and I will get it to you.
You know, maybe when they come out with the final IFR,
Yeah.
and you see that maybe there's some changes in it, but right now you hire an attorney, they're spending an awful lot of time
Forget it.
Yeah.
spinning their wheels and
Right,
trying to
and-
figure it out too. I don't think you need it. I think
Okay.
there's a lot going on, but
Right.
again,
You know, there will be changes to the interim rule. You know, Treasury constantly gets questions and they are going to update those, but they're not going to change the core of what is going on here. You know, they're going to maybe provide some clarity to things that aren't very clear in the IFR. So, and that hopefully will be coming very soon because the end of the quarter is approaching and and people are going to have to report on what they're doing. I mean, some big cities are already in a reporting phase right now.
Okay.
But ours is coming up.
All right, then. Barbara, is there anything else that requires our attention right now?
Doesn't require your attention, but you may want to know about it because it's Weller's Bridge. Had a meeting today.
Yep.
DOT. And I also had a meeting with Cardinal Engineering the other day. You know, we're possibly looking at a complete bridge replacement and to the tune of 4.2 million.
Over what time period are we saying?
Well, I learned that the state has a new program and it's called DMS, Design Managed by the State Program. And I guess they had a working group of towns that they worked with for a couple of years to see if it was going to work. And I just learned about it because they approached me because they had heard about Weller's Bridge. So anyway, normally in the design stage, it's 80-20. The state under the local bridge program will pay 80% and the town picks up 20%. But if we go with the DOT versus going with, going out to bid and finding an engineering firm, which we already did, Cardinal Engineering, they will pick up that 20%. So what I have with Cardinal Engineering is the application that we worked on to apply for the federal local bridge money. And they said that they would take that and try and get a approval from the feds. And so that we could possibly, start moving on this earlier. They said, if you come with the DOT, it'll save the time by half. So if you're looking at 4 years, maybe 2 years. At the end of the day, you're looking at the town's portion is probably for construction is going to be around $600,000. There are so many numbers here. It is crazy. It's
what is the condition of the bridge now? Why did it all of a sudden we're now talking about replacing the entire bridge? What happened?
Because it's pretty frustrating because we spent a lot of money to replace the entire decking of that bridge. It was all taken off.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're saying the underneath section, the rebar, et cetera, the steel is all compromised. And now we did everything they asked with the scour critical years ago. And now we got this huge island that's in the river there. And the water is now it's not compromising the middle pier. It's compromising the end piers. And they said, you know what? This is something you should not piecemeal. However, they're going to come back with 3 options and 3 structure types and the pros and the cons and the cost. And then they will also make a recommendation to the town. And I said, what if it was a total replacement? What are you saying it would last? What are we going to get out of this? Because we followed your lead the last time, and here we are 24 years later, and we're looking at total replacement. And they said 75 years. But it's the underneath, which is a shame because the upper decking of the bridge has no issues. They're going to have to rip it all out to get to the bottom. And the rebar and the steel is compromised. And I said, I don't understand why the steel is so compromised. I mean, we painted it, we did everything that we were supposed to do.
I looked at it. I met with the guys. I did go down and it's 100%. The rebar is exposed. It's the lower deck, which didn't get replaced in 2001. They did everything but the lower deck. To their credit, so to speak, the lower deck in 20 years ago wasn't an issue. They felt it would support it. And yes, the girders, the big girders, a coat of paint probably covered up most of the problems, but it didn't stop the problem. You don't stop rust. You can paint over it, you can remove it, and it continues to deteriorate. And talking with the guys, I met just Butch and I, and these 3 guys from the state, and it's very expensive, but a complete total replacement for 75 years versus the other choices of 20 and one was 50. Sure, it would satisfy.
Probably
But
not a smart move, right?
and we're not paying, it's an 80-20, and we don't have to pay for the engineering, so to speak. We do
Right.
pay a little bit because we shot from the hip and we had the engineering done before these guys said they were going to do it. But
So just a matter of curiosity, when was the lower portion of the bridge built then? Was it like in 1956, that right after the flood, or?
yeah, yep.
Okay.
But we redid,
We redid the upper section, yeah.
But we never did the lower complete thing.
2001. Plus, they said the pilings or the piers, I mean, are just sitting on bedrock and they need to be into the bedrock. They said
Exactly.
they need to be drilled in and,
They're going to drill them in. and
right,
Wow.
Make it wider as well.
they're gonna make it
So
a
we
little
don't lose our
wider.
mirrors on
Oh,
our trucks.
trucks, yeah.
So I asked them to give us an option of a covered bridge in there. That would be popular.
It would be popular.
Well, let's
Good.
take the tunnel off the table right now.
Yeah.
Is there short term? I mean, is it safe to be used?
Yes,
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
yep. It's safe. It's probably safe for another 8 years
Okay.
from what
That's
I've
what I was
seen and what I
wondering.
talked to.
Okay.
But
What is the longevity at this point? Like what? Like when do we need to replace this? What's the timeline?
well, I think the quicker you do something like this, the less
Yeah.
cost is going to be involved.
looking to do it soon,
Everything going to cost more money every year or 2 out.
right?
And this isn't going to happen real quick. It's still going to be 3 years out, I bet, before they get it, all the engineering and the grant applications. It's going to be
Well,
a
they're
while.
looking for a quick turnaround on this grant application. That's what I was told today. Because we did get one step ahead with it. And but the other thing is yeah, maybe they have this great program, but who knows how long it's going to be where they're going to cover our 20% of the design and everything else. We are still on the hook for 20% of the construction cost.
Correct.
And that
Yep.
this construction is around 2.9 million, but you add all the other stuff and it comes out to about 4.2.
And they got to
So-
deal with that island, which is creating more problems every day.
Oh my gosh,
That's
it's
got
just
to be
growing. It's got
removed.
trees in it now.
Yep. And the scour on the outer abutments is just ridiculous.
So that, you know what, they'll say it'll last a couple of years. I think we've already moved ahead on it. We need to just keep moving
Yeah.
and get it done.
Yep.
While we know what is available, what the money is, et cetera. So
Makes sense. So, any other good news?
there's so much stuff here. It isn't even funny. The other, I'm going for a grant for the body worn cameras. I am going to be putting out something to hire a new senior center director. She's going to be leaving us.
Oh, no.
The housing, Affordable Housing Committee, Jocelyn is sending the invites to all the people that I gave her names for to get that going. Yeah, there's stuff. I can report more next week if you'd like, but yeah,
Sounds
Weller's
good.
Bridge took up a lot of time.
All right, then. If there's nothing else, is there a motion to adjourn?
A motion.
They want to stay all night.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you very much. I will see
Thank
you
you.
all next week.
Till next
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Good night.
Next week.
Night.
Thank you.
All right.
Aye.
Good night.
Bye.